Hey man, welcome back to another video, and we got a little ahead of ourselves, just a little bit, only because we have never done a Cage Gets Cage before, and by the title of the video, you guys already saw. We're doing a Cage Gets Gets, and we had most of it assembled. It was mostly in the car, recorded a bunch of clips, and we started over and took it all apart because somebody...
Hey man. So welcome to day one of, of building a cage.
Definitely not day 3.
Yeah, so we got a little excited and the whole laser exact fitment, you know, we just threw everything in, and that's not the way to do it. You got to do it in a certain order, and that's the same with even building a cage.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is pretty much getting the main frame put together. All the notches and everything are like super tight up against each other.
Yeah.
Everything on the front of the car is now in, the door bars are in, and that kind of lines up the hoop and the A to B pillar, or what were you calling it?
A to B.
Yeah, A to B pillar.
Yeah.
So it lines those up. That's going to tell us the angle for the hoop, and then that'll pretty much just, everything else is going to fall into place.
Yeah. So as I'm watching my own video and trying to see if it all makes sense, I've realized that it was a little bit confusing at first. And I promise if you watch the video through, the verbal explanations are going to make sense with the visual explanations, because I try my best to explain what I'm talking about. So I really hope my video helps out those that aren't really fabricators and kind of want to knock this out in their garage with a potential MIG welder or something, you know. I know not everyone's a pro. We're definitely not. We had our struggles, but if you just watch it through, it'll make sense. I hope it helps. Enjoy the video. So this is what we are currently working with. So like how Nick said, we had most of the cage in, but we took it apart because we did it incorrectly. What we're doing now is we're getting B pillar to A pillar all lined up, ready to go. Everything's held in by tension. These ratchet straps, they're not on there tight. They're pretty loose, and the whole entire cage, all the gaps, they're really tight, really nice. And so with this, we're gonna weld the areas Nick was explaining. What's the best way to explain this? So in the back side of that pipe, we can't get back there. But if we tack most of this up and as a whole box, slide the entire cage back, it'll free the door and we can finalize the welds that we can't get to. So like these inside welds over here, we obviously can't get to that. But if this is all one little box, all one cage, then we could shift forward and back and get to those hard to reach areas.
We're doing it this way because you can obviously see there's welds that we just can't get to. There's no way MIG, TIG, stick, flux core, JB weld, what was that?
JB weld might work.
That might work. But there's no way to get a weld there. So what you want to do, and this is where we kind of messed up, is we just got ahead of ourselves and put the X in, and put this in here, and put this top bar in. But we want to be able to kind of work the cage and bend it and stretch it a bit. It's chromoly tubing, so it's very forgiving. You could bend it a lot, and it's got a lot of spring back. So the idea, at least, is by not having it tacked to the plates and not having any X bracing, that's going to come out right there.
This front bar.
That front bar is going to come out. We'll be able to squeeze the entire cage and kind of shimmy it off the plates, and then make the welds that we need to make. So yeah. Something like the welds here, everything that's going to be a tight fit, we'll get a weld about that big.
Yeah.
That way we can throw it in, and yeah.
Cool. So for the viewers at home, like if you're wondering how you can do this without any cutting, without any weird gaps, and you're MIGging it, because this whole cage will be TIG welded. Nick was very stubborn on that, and we went forward with the plan, and it's actually working out really great. We watched a lot of videos on getting some ideas, and a lot of people were talking about oh, we're gonna cut a little bit over here and we're gonna notch a little bit over there just to make the cage fit, and the cage is already perfect fitting. I went with ultra tight cage, and it's totally possible to do it without cutting. So we have tape holding the hoop at the top, plus a magnet right behind Nick's head.
It's a very necessary tool.
Dude, honestly, duct tape, ratchet straps for some tension over here, and it should work. Go for it, man. Nick's gonna TIG weld this in. And we're gonna do 4 points. We're gonna hit that one, down there 2, down there on that side 3, and then same thing over here 4, 5. Hit those 4 corners, and once we hit those 4 corners, the door bars are gonna have to come out. We'll explain as we go, man. But the main thing is get this box situated with, because once you have the box welded, we're gonna be able to slide the whole thing forward and back to determine the distance from the main hoop back to these plates back here. So just fair warning, if you guys are installing this cage and you're looking for information, you don't get much. So Cage Kit sends you this paper that pretty much describes what every piece is, but there's no real guide on angles or anything. There's a lot of YouTube videos on Cage Kit's website that you can kind of follow, but yeah, man, good luck, cause so Nick just finished welding up the main 4 points that we talked about, and I want to try to back up the camera as much as I could. Now move the cage. Sweet. So now we have a little box to work with. This is a point where everything kind of falls and follows this box. So next is finalizing the welds around. Yeah. So we're gonna finalize the welds up there and try to slide and pull and flex just enough to where we can get behind it, and then once we let go of the ratchet strap, it'll bounce back. How Nick was explaining, chromoly is very flexible, it's very durable, it's very hard, and yeah, let's weld in those you can't see places.
Let's hope it doesn't. Let's hope it doesn't pull.
Nah.
Yeah.
I think you put more than enough weld.
Yeah, everything's about halfway welded, so
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be good.
Should be alright. It'll be alright. One thing that's really unavoidable when doing the cage is you're going to be welding in stuff, and then you're going to be taking out a lot of stuff. Am I right on that one? And so we had the base plates in for mock-up purposes, you know, and then we took them out because now we need to figure out how to get up there. And then Nick, you want to throw the cage. There you go. Boom. So that fell off the base plates down here, and then now that's given us all the room we need to weld the top, because none of this has any weld. So if you opted out for the door that the door bars that don't go into the door, they're straight, and you can probably do them now and still shift left and right without any issues. We're not going to do that just yet because I have the door bars that go into the door, and that bar comes out over here. So next for sure would be, after you finish the welds, the rear.
I think so.
Let's do it. If you want to get welds all the way around, you definitely got to get pretty creative. We are squeezing the cage together with the ratchet strap, and remember, it's just going to bounce back. We're not bending anything at all, and holding it up with whatever the heck scrap you find, and that should be enough to get up and in there, you know. Maybe even a little mirror to help you out, you know? Get all crazy with it.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
The mirror's like playing Mario Kart. You play the mirror to...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's hard. Hard to weld like that.
There you go, man. So now that we're getting close to finalizing welds all the way around, so this side's 100% complete. This one bar going across, that goes over here. This one is about to get 100% completed. Now, anytime you're welding, for those who don't know, I'm sure you do if you're making a cage, but...
Like if you heat up a tank or heat up a cylinder or whatever, it's going to build pressure inside.
And you need to relieve that
You need to
pressure.
relieve that. So these two are going to be the last ones,
Yeah.
which is why we haven't worried about that until now. You pretty much want to make yourself and be a little strategic with it. This needs to be vented out, so we're going to vent it through one of these door bars, and then we'll end up drilling another hole in this one here, in this upper bar. So vent from here, vent through there, vent to this, we'll put another hole there, it'll vent to the hoop. You just want to give it as much room to expand as possible. Yeah, there's been times I've drilled holes in like a cage or something, and it's been like years since it's last been welded on, but the pressure just stays in there. And you drill it, and it's like,
Interesting.
and then, yeah, and it holds pressure for that long because it's sealed up, you know.
Yeah.
So if you can get away with welding it without putting a hole, you're lucky. The unlucky side of it is it blows your weld out and you have a bad time. So.
Sick. Fun educational welding moments with Nick. So while Nick's doing all the easy stuff over there,
Man, what the heck?
I'm just gonna come over here. There you go. And that little hole is enough to let this pipe breathe, man. All right, so continuing the flow of uncomfortable welding, ratchet strap, hold it in, give enough space, and he's welding all the way around. And that hole I drilled, he's currently sitting or laying on top of it, so hopefully, you know, that pressure's gonna relieve.
You know the videos of the guys that get blown up by the airbags, you know?
Now we're moving on to the door bars.
So we got a hole here. Okay, so this tube was welded. We put this hole in here, so
Yeah.
that way this tube and these welds don't blow out.
Yeah.
So now this is a vent, which is gonna have one of these bad boys right there.
Yeah.
It's gonna vent to this upper door bar.
Yeah.
So now it's vented this way, but we also have these two that we have to vent. And we have to put holes on all of them here.
Yeah.
So now it's venting from up, over, and then down to those. These will not blow out.
Okay.
But we also have to weld these ends.
Yeah.
So if we stop there, now we're gonna end up blowing these welds out.
So is that hole gonna vent out because it's not finalized down here?
Exactly. So now we vent out to the main hoop, which is gonna vent all this stuff because it's all connected. Vent out to the main hoop, and as of right now, since it's not welded, we're gonna be good. If we welded this bottom, then it would be a problem, and we need to continue the ventilation.
I see.
But right now we're good, and we'll end up working with more holes, maybe on a gusset or something like that when needed. But right now, yeah,
All
we'll
right,
be fine.
sick. Okay. Now that everything's lined up, can you guys see that? There's like a little line above that. That's all lined up. I have everything taped in place, and it's all lined up. Same thing on that side. Zoom in. All that is taped and lined up, and all we got to do is weld it. So again, holes vent out, the mid pipe vents, and it's all shooting out the sides, right? And then once he starts closing out the sides, that little hole that's behind here, that's venting out of there, and vice versa. So let's get the welder out, let's get it prepped, and finish out these door bars. So the door bars are currently just tacked in at the moment. Next thing, we're trying to figure out the last base plates, so the pipe that goes from the hoop down to the base plate. We're trying to finalize that angle. What we ended up doing is we tacked up the top. You can see the little tack right there on both sides, and then just left them kind of loose down at the base plate. Then the crossbar that goes on top gives us the angle that this bar needs to be in. So technically we could weld the base plate or tack the base plate in back here. And then this bar that shoots across, if you see the markings, they line up there. And then up here, they line up there. And then this lines up here. You didn't see it on camera, but this got shifted over to the left. And now this is finalized, right? I just spit everywhere, it's awesome. Nick was doing the main hoop crossbar. So just a disclaimer, in the future when you guys are doing this, if you have to shave like a little tippy edge because it's, you know, overlapping a weld, perfectly normal. We're not like cutting a whole pipe or anything like that. So definitely have some duct tape handy, because right now, I mean, honestly, like, unless we had the tape, we would be welding and then breaking welds and all this and that. And this tape is really, really kind of putting in work. Once we figure this out, we're gonna finish off the X and then see if everything kind of lines into place as far as like by the top hoop. And if it does, then we can add some tacks everywhere else, kind of take it apart, make our holes. Because remember, you still have to make the holes to let the pressure release and keep going from there. Super slow process, but it makes sense. It's getting there. It's getting there. From the last clip, we took the cage all apart basically, and then re-put it back, added more tape, and it's gonna happen, man. Buy like 2 rolls of duct tape and use them. because it's gonna help out. But now the gaps and everything fits beautifully. You can't even see the line because it fits so good. And then up here, look at that. That gap is crazy. We have a tiny little gap down here. We're not gonna worry about it too much. But even this, it's like it's held on its own. This part right here. You can kind of see the line on that side, which that's fine, you know. We could just move it a little bit, and if we move it a little bit, it might close this gap up. But we even put the bar going across, focus. We even put the bar going across this way, and we finalized that. So now that we know everything fits, when you put the main support pieces on, we're gonna start welding. I've already said, take your time, but for real, be patient. Because we probably have built this cage and taken it apart at least 4 times now, right? Yeah, at least 4 times we have built the whole cage and taken it apart, and each and every single time we put it back together, the fitment gets better and better. So, duct tape, use it. So just to explain, most of the cage was set up, take it all apart, and he's got to do a weld pass all the way around that pipe because everything overlaps that one, and so it's just mocking up, removing, mocking up, removing, welding. We got it though, man. We'll get there. Okay, so now that we finalized these back structural pieces, we're gonna move over to the parts that need to be welded in. So before we add cross bracing, we still have the opportunity to ratchet strap, pull together, and it's creating this gap so we can weld all back here. Once he finalizes this weld, finalizes that back weld, vice versa on the other side, we won't have to get into like awkward places in the back, and we won't have to ratchet strap, and then we can add the cross supports. So before you add cross supports, focus on getting these welds. Ratchet strap goes in, everything else is taken apart, we move forward. We're moving on to the X's in the back. This is what's gonna make the cage look almost complete, but you know, not complete. After we do the X, we're gonna do intrusion bars and then the cross bars across, but we're gonna wait on that obviously. And we realized that this bar going across literally just fell right in. That vice grip ain't doing nothing. It's just like there for when he welds it, he doesn't want it to fall over, but slipped into place, fell perfectly into the pockets. You can see how the gaps are just so nice, man. So we're gonna finish the X's and then go from there, man. Everything should connect. This part's like easy. The entire rear is all tacked in, and now that the entire rear is tacked in, Nick wants to finalize the welds up on these corners because we haven't done the intrusion bars just yet, and without the intrusion bars in, we still have the capability of dropping the cage and making room up there to weld. Now we can drop the cage, man.
Mustard is bad for you anyways, man.
No, it's not.
Pickles are bad for you.
Yeah.
So kind of get in right here. The good thing is it's not the very tip top of the hoop.
Yeah, I know. It's just like this little side thing.
Yep.
I don't think you have enough room, man.
A little bit.
Man, but right now, man. Should be alright. The main support bar going across widened the cage, and now we can't drop it as freely as we did before. But this would be the last drop we do. Once he finalizes all these hard to reach areas up here, the cage is gonna go back up, and that's it. No more dropping, no more nothing. Oh, actually, not true. We need to put this top bar in the front. So we need to put the cage back up to take off this tension that it's on right now. Put this top bar in, because then once he drops it, he needs to finalize these welds across over here and the intrusion bars because they have it too. Man, bro, do this shit.
I told you, bro.
Do this shit right. So now that we have that rear bar in and tacked in place, we're gonna move over to the gussets. And remember to always drill your pressure relief holes. Okay, so the holes would be inside to vent. Gusset going in. Fitment looks spectacular. Gussets are in, man. So now we're gonna finally drop the cage. He's gonna finalize some tops, but now that that's all in, cage has to drop how we were originally planning. He's gonna weld everything that's up here and hard to get to. And once all those welds are done, we can do the intrusion bars and then just weld, and finish up the cage. So this probably should have been done from the very, very beginning, but a ginormous, I guess, obvious pro tip is make sure you guys take out all your glass. I went over to Harbor Freight and they sell the packages right here, actually. They sell this like windshield removal kit, which could potentially remove all your glass. Whether your glass is gonna be intact when you're done, probably not. So, I don't know, this was kind of emergency, needed the front done. It needed to be replaced anyways. But we got the front windshield removed. It did allow us to move the cage slightly more forward because it looks like it would have been hitting the glass right about there. And now we're still coming, no ground. Yeah. There you go. So we're still coming across an issue where we can't get the cage fully down where we want it. Since we added all the X braces, the cage is just getting tighter and tighter and tighter to the already really tight fitment cage, you know, but we like tight around here. We just gotta work with what we got. Nick's gonna weld as much as he can and we're just gonna try to shimmy the cage, make it work. We added all the little bars and stuff, you know. We're almost there, man. After this, bar going across, intrusion bars with the plates, that's it, cage done. And then finalize it on the base plates on the A, B, and C pillars. Let's go. The cage is coming to a close finish. I'll move this camera down. And up next, we're gonna move over to the intrusion bars. Now the intrusion bars, they pretty much, they're pre-welded, as you can see. Look at that. Nick, you proud of those welds, man?
Yes.
On these?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So Nick, he hella proud of these welds, man. Look at them. Look at them dimes, man. So the intrusion bars, you can totally line them up, put it together, assemble it, you know, pre-weld it, and then it drops right in. Now my chassis, my firewall was a little beat up, and I tried to beat it up more so this can fit, and, you know, hopefully your chassis isn't beat up like mine. And, you know, I still got to do some massaging. It's just like falls into place all by itself. Once that gets put in, the base plates get welded up against the firewall, and then that's it. Nick has to finalize all the welds on a lot of areas of the cage, and that's pretty much your cage, kids. Cage, man. How do you feel about it?
It was a long, it's kind of long because of our fault. If we just like went ham on it, you know?
Yeah.
It'd be quicker.
Yeah.
And now that we know. It's not too bad.
Whose fault was that, man?
I'm a busy guy.
No. On the because we had this cage assembled, remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it could be a one-day thing. You just fucking, you can make it a one-day thing and just fucking MIG weld the whole thing.
Yes, sir.
Fill in some gaps and, you know.
The gaps weren't that bad.
Bro,
No.
I couldn't step over those gaps.
Get out of here. You could rush this and the end result, you know, will be done. But to do it right, you know, follow the steps, build, take apart, build again, you'll get it done. But that concludes the cage video. I hope this helps. I hope I can make like a decently short video. I think it's gonna be like 20 minutes maybe. But from what I've noticed on YouTube, there's not a lot of guides that just kind of go straight to the point. I'm not here to measure pipes or anything, you know, I'm just trying to make the cage install easier for people that are like, you know, doing this out of a garage like us. But anyways, thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. What else should they do, man?
They should buy some metric drill bits because standard sucks.
That you heard it here first. Peace.
Yeah.